And then you're all alone on the other side of the world in a volatile environment where people come and go constantly. So you have friends one day and then they are on to the next country. So it gets lonely sometimes.
On one hand, you're like, oh, wow, this is so exciting because everything is possible. But on the other hand, it's also like, oh, it's scary because everything is possible. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Beyonder the podcast. I'm your host, Fee, and I'm very excited for this conversation today with a special guest who is here with me in Sydney. Beyonder the podcast is all about going beyond borders, not just country borders, but also inner limitations. And with my guests, I talk a lot about inner and outer journeys. And today's guest is a friend of mine who came to Sydney from Bali, and we're going to talk about what her whole journey has been, moving countries and basically just taking the leap to start over and leave everything behind and go on an adventure. So welcome, Jessy, to the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm very happy that you're here today. Jessy is an international brand photographer and strategist. And the first question I always ask my guests is, how do you go beyond the ordinary in your life?
You know, I feel like everyone is so stuck at one point in what the ordinary is because it's kind of what society expects from you, right? So that's your whole upbringing, that's the path you need to walk in life until you reach a point where you're like, oh, is this everything? Like, I'm not really happy with it. I feel like everyone that got out of the ordinary always had to go through a certain rough patch to feel like, oh, this is not what I want for myself, to be able to step out of it. I like all the people I've met whilst traveling, they've gone through like a difficult period and then decided to make a change and create a better life for themselves. So I feel like you always have to hit a certain, like, I wouldn't want to say rock bottom, but like you need to like hit a bit of a negative patch to be able to open your eyes and see what's out there beyond what society portrays is like the perfect life, right? So I think, unfortunately, you always have to go through something a bit more negative to be able to step out of what's like decided for you based on what society thinks is a happy life.
Yeah, and what do you think was that sort of negative patch for you to decide, like, okay, now I'm done with this. I want something else.
Do you have a minute?
We have all the time here, so.
For me, so like, I was doing everything right? I had, when this happened, I was 25 years old. I was doing really well. Like, I was making a lot of money. Like, I was making way more money than my friends. I was an HR business partner at an international organization. But I don't know, the bricks started falling over. Like, my relationship ended. I bought a house with my ex, but because we split up, I had to buy the house. But I internally already felt this is not the place where I want to be, but I did it anyways because it was a good investment. And then after like that relationship ended, like everything just started tumbling over. I really started disliking my job, but I showed up every day because I had to pay my mortgage now. Then I started dating this other guy, and he was so different from what I was doing. Like, he was investing, had his own business, and he was going to travel the world. So we started dating, and then he was like, yeah, I'm leaving, but would you want to come to the Philippines and travel through the Philippines with me? And I was like, why the hell not? Like, I don't have any plans this summer. And I really wanted to make a trip. So I went to join that trip with him. And that's where my eyes kind of opened. Like, it was a backpacking trip of 5 weeks. But then I was like, oh, this is what life can also be like, because that was the life he was living, right? He just packed up everything and left and did not have a date to return back home. And then I was like, oh, I need to create this for myself. I want to be outside, because I remember when I came back from that trip and I had to sit back behind my desk within four walls, I felt so trapped. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year I'm going to do everything to save the money I need to quit. And then I'm just going to give myself 6 months to figure it out. Start my own business, start making money, and travel the world while I'm doing it. So yeah, first a lot of bad things happened. Then someone crossed my path that was already living the life and kind of opened my eyes to it. And then that awakened the fire in me that I was like, okay, I need to make a better life for myself. I need to like go all in on this and quit that job by the end of the year, because I was getting really, really depressed, dragging myself to the office every day. So yeah, that's that. Then I had a plan in place, and then it was a year long of saving every penny I made. I was doing the weirdest things. Like in the winters, I would not turn on the heating, so I did not have to pay electricity bills. I was fucking freezing in my house, but I was saving some money. Like when I need to do groceries, I would always walk, never take the car, because then I had to pay for gas. When I was going out with friends, I would not drink, so that I did not pay for drinks. All these small things that eventually like really contributed to, saving a lot of money. And then during that period, my parents split. So I took my dad in, and then he paid half my mortgage, so I could save even faster, which was a very interesting dynamic, living with your dad again. But yeah, all those sacrifices that I made in that year made it possible to eventually like quit and leave. So that's kind of the brief overview of how I got out.
Yeah. And then after that year, then you quit. And then how do you decide, like, okay, what's going to happen now? Where do I go? It's almost like the whole world opens up, right? How do you choose? Am I going to travel, or am I going to just move somewhere else? Or like, how did you make that decision?
So for me, I already knew in the beginning, when this was my plan, that I wanted to travel the world for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole objective. And during those 6 months, I was going to build my business so that I would be able to sustain myself while traveling the world. So that was the goal. I already knew that year when I started saving all the money. And during that year, I was also already working in the background on my business. Like in the evenings, in the weekends, I was working on a business plan so that the moment I could quit, I could start immediately with my business. And then, of course, I was very, very fucking nervous because I never traveled alone. I always traveled with my boyfriend, or then with the guy that I was dating, or with friends. I never got on a plane by myself. So I like made the decision I was going to do it, but then the date came that I wasn't doing it, and I was fucking terrified. And then I got on the plane, and my cousin, she was in Bangkok. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a country that's very easy to travel. Like a lot of backpackers go there. It's easy to meet people. So I went to Thailand, and she was there. So the first 2 days, I met up with her, and it was fine. And then after that, I was by myself. And yeah, then halfway, my friend came to visit me. So that's how I kind of like made it easy for myself that someone was coming and all that stuff. Yeah, and then eventually ended up in Bali, and that's where I started really meeting people that were also working on their own business. And then I just stuck around.
Yeah.
I never left.
Yeah, what's the thing with Bali? Because I feel like these days, when I open my Instagram, it feels like everyone moves to Bali.
Yeah.
What was it for you that made Bali such a special place to stay there for? You have been there for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
To stay there so long and not feel like, oh, I want to travel more, but to really be there and, build your business and all of that. What was it for you that made Bali that place?
Yeah, so I think, like, if I think back, like, everyone back home thought I was losing my shit and I was gonna find myself on my trip. But the whole reason I quit was because I was not happy and I know what I really wanted. So I was working towards a life that was for me. I never quit because I was lost or didn't know what I was doing. From the get-go, when I started traveling, I started building my business. And during the first 3 months, I was always the weird one. I was the one in hostels working, and everyone was drinking, partying, having a holiday basically. So I was always the odd man out. And then I flew to Bali, and the guy that I dated before, when I went to the Philippines with, he told me about this house full of entrepreneurs that were all working on their own business. So I was like, okay, I feel a pull that I need to go there. And I just booked 2 weeks there. And then I ended up staying 5 months. And that was the first place during the 3 months of travel. And by that point, I had been in 4 or 5 different countries, I think. The first place where I felt like, there's other people also working towards something. And that was the whole purpose for me anyways. Like, I always wanted to create something for myself that I could actually live this life forever and not for those 6 months. That was the objective from the get-go. And yeah, it just like finally found people that were doing the same thing, and finally felt like I found a home away from home. Like, that house was amazing. We were with 20 to 30 people, I think. It was fluctuating a little bit, but everyone had big aspirations, big goals. Everyone was working on like creating their dream life. And that was such an inspiring environment to be in, and everyone like kind of felt like a family. So that just kept me there. It was the whole like environment with the people, like basically the people kept me there. And then eventually like everyone branches out again, right? So like most of the people that were there at the time are not there anymore, but I made friendships for life there. And I feel like in Bali, when you are an entrepreneur and you're starting out, so great. Like, so many people are building something. One has a more crazy idea than the other, and you just get like, you on every street corner you meet someone that does something fucking amazing. So you get sucked into that energy, and then you really start feeling like, all right, this is actually possible. So yeah, it was the people and the whole inspirational environment, I think, for me, that kept me there so long.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people that go find themselves in Bali that really don't know what they want and they're trying to figure it out. But even then, I think it's a good environment to be in, because you see so many people building something that you get inspired, like in every conversation. Do feel like Bali is a great place to start out. Not 100% sure if it's a great place to be in when you're scaling a business like I am doing now, because then you've outgrown like the majority of people that are in Bali and starting things out. And it's harder to find people that are growing to like a bigger level. Hence why I'm here in Sydney now with you today. But yeah, that's, I think, to describe the Bali, Bali is a bubble. It really is. It really feels like you're in some kind of different universe, and the whole outside world is not happening. But it's great to like get in that mindset of really creating. And the other thing is, everyone there believes that you're gonna make it. Whereas back home, everyone was like, oh, you'll be back in a couple of months, like, you're crazy, it's never gonna work, it's only for the lucky few. And in Bali, everyone's like, oh my God, that idea is great. Like, when are you gonna do this, this, and this? And have you thought about this, this, and this, and this? And then you're gonna set steps, and then you're actually gonna achieve it. If like, yeah, in Bali, everyone believes in your Delulu. And that's just great, because then you start believing yourself that you can do it as well. So yeah, that's how I would describe what kept me in Bali, and also what I think the Bali hype is from an insider.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation to hear about your experience. And what you said, it's so important to have a community around you of people that, especially when you're not at home anymore, that sort of make you feel like home and also support your dreams. And especially what you said, if everyone is in the same phase, like everyone is creative and building their business, or they have this big vision and goals, it can also motivate you, right, to also go for it. Because that's, I think, the thing that sometimes nomads or travelers struggle with, when, what you said, when you are in an environment and you're the only person working and it seems like everyone is just on a holiday, it can be very hard to be motivated, but also to find places to actually, do your work, right?
The thing that I see online a lot is that people always talk about their success and like the end stages, But man, to like set up this life is fucking hard. Like I was not going out. I was working 80 hours a week, saving every money, freezing on my couch. And then the first year in Bali, like I was also working 80 hours a week, trying to figure things out, trying to make ends meet. I was stressed a lot, cried a lot. But eventually, like I kept pushing because I believed so like in my core that it was gonna work out. And I made one decision. This is the life I want. I don't want to go back. And I'm going to do everything to make it work. And now in year 2, I finally am getting to a place where like I'm really growing. It's getting better and better opportunities. I'm not worried about money that much anymore. But yeah, I could have quit already 1,000 times before I got to this stage. So I just want to, set a realistic picture. Like if you really want it, you can do it. You just need to believe in yourself, but you need to be prepared to like do the work because it's not easy. And also you need to be willing to ask for help. I invested 50,000 euros in my first year as an entrepreneur. And I'm still paying off some of those investments, but they got me to the point where I'm at now. And I can 1000% say that without those investments, I would have been back in the Netherlands depressed, probably in a corporate job again. So you need to be willing to bet on yourself as well to be able to make it work.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's also one of the important things I want to share in this podcast are the real stories, not just what you see online, like, oh, Bali. I mean, it's a beautiful place. I've been there a few times. And yeah, if you only see that part of life, you think like, oh, everyone is living their dream life and it feels so easy. Maybe I should do this too. But if you don't really know what the reality is, like as you said, many people have this dream, but are you also willing to make the sacrifices that are necessary to actually really make it? Because it can be very challenging. It can be hard work. Like you said, investing time, money, everything if you want to build something for yourself, right? And also people who just might want to move countries and maybe find another job or starting a business as well. It's not always this image, this beautiful dream image that you see online. Like real life is happening and it comes with challenges, whether it's building a business or just adjusting to a new place and finding your community. There's so many things that come your way, right?
Yeah. It's really like, it's always so funny. Like never believe what you see online because I was gone for 9 months. Then I went back to the Netherlands to sell my house because again, I was really committed to create this dream life. And I was like, I just don't want to have any ties to the Netherlands anymore. And I came home and then I remember my uncle saying, oh, you just had 9 months of straight holiday. You were just chilling on a beach with a coconut. I was like, is this what people think I did the last 9 months? Because like the total opposite was true. I almost never went to the beach. I was always working. I worked 7 days a week, 12 hours per day. That was my life. But somehow, and I went to this party as well where all my friends were, and they were all like, oh, like you live such an amazing life. How do you even pay for that? Like you're always traveling and like on the beach and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, the 1% of the time that I am on the beach, I post it in my stories because we all share the good things, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not so interesting.
It's not so interesting to like post my laptop screen every day.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
They're like, okay, great, you're working, I'm working too. Whatever, who cares? So you share what is nice to share.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going on in the background.
What do you feel has been your biggest challenge beyond, building your business with living in a different country?
I feel my biggest challenge has been mindset. Because like starting a business in itself is hard. Like you get thrown curveballs, you need to bounce back all the time. You need to be your own biggest cheerleader. I'm single as well, so I did not have someone to confide in about all my struggles. All my friends back home are not entrepreneurs, so I could not really talk to them about what I was going through because they didn't really understand. And then you're all alone on the other side of the world in a volatile environment where people come and go constantly. So you have friends one day and then they are on to the next country. So it gets lonely sometimes. And especially when you have setback after setback after setback. Yeah, you need to have a really strong mindset and really be able to like pick yourself up and stay positive to be able to make it work. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just have a shitty period, but then you're by yourself. You're all alone. Usually with time difference, people from back home are not even awake, so you cannot call them. And then you're just sitting there with your thoughts. And I think you are your own biggest enemy when it comes to that. I feel like that amplifies only when you travel fully alone, solo traveler, and you are in an environment where everyone comes and goes. Not to say that I was lonely all the time, because I made some great friends and like I see people all the time. But especially in the beginning, like you start from scratch, right? You build new friendships. They are in the beginning very surface level, take some time. And then at one point you start talking about these things, but then usually by the point where you get to that level, people leave again. So you need to be dealing. Oh yeah, and the goodbyes, saying the goodbyes. Oh my god, I cried so many tears for so many people. Actually saying goodbye to people that you've lived with for 2 weeks, because you get so close in such a short period of time. It's very crazy.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Or even leaving a place yourself. Like I'm leaving tomorrow back to Bali, which is where my home is now, but I'm still very sad to leave again tomorrow, because I'm leaving you guys behind again. I'll be back.
Yes.
But you are always saying goodbye, and you always are missing people, because you make so many friends from around the world that you never can be around anyone or everyone, because everyone is everywhere. So I think those are the two things that I struggle with the most in this like lifestyle that I've created for myself.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I can relate to that as well, especially what you said about goodbyes and having people everywhere. Like now I've lived in 5 different countries and have traveled a lot. And especially, we just had the Easter holidays. And I feel like for me, especially with those type of moments, it's like, oh yeah, back home with my family, we used to have like a brunch together. Or like those are often the moments that I even miss people more, because you have those memories with each other.
I have the same, like during Christmas or like other holidays where you see everyone gathering with their friends and family. I used to really love that. Like the family stuff, like that was really, really important for me. Like I would never want to go back to the Netherlands, like I'll say it. But in those days, you really feel like you're missing out on those wholesome moments.
And those things can exist at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Like you choose one lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that, you forget about other things, right? Like it can be, I think that's also the duality that we experience when we live abroad. You have those happy moments, but at the same time, life goes on and you also have those sad moments. And I think it's good to also just be open about that conversation, as we said before. Like it's not all a dream that you're living, right? Still life happens, and yeah, like you can have those emotions as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you, if you think about now your future vision for your life in Bali and your business, how do you see yourself in the next, let's say, 1 to 2 years?
I am right now in a interesting phase, I think, because before I was like, Bali is the place for me. Like I'm gonna live there forever. Like beginning of the year, I set myself a goal to buy a villa in Bali by the end of the year, really create my own home on the other side of the world. But what I said before, I think Bali is good for a certain period. And I feel like I'm ready to scale to the next level. But I do feel like I need to change environment a bit again to like further expand, because I do feel like when you're stuck in a certain environment for a longer period of time, you start to close your mind off again. And then it's good to just put yourself in another environment, put yourself out of your comfort zone again, so that you can expand your mind again and start thinking out. Like even this like week I've been here, I had so many like great ideas, like new ideas. I really felt like I was starting to think bigger. So that kind of made me realize maybe Bali is not the place for me for like forever. I do feel like I will be there every year, at least a couple of months, because I do love like the type of people you get to meet there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know like where I will end up. I might move to Sydney by the end of the year, but like it's a weird year for me anyways, because I'm going to Europe to do all these brand shoots, then I'm flying to Canada to do a brand shoot, then I will fly back to Bali. So by the time I will be back in Bali, it will be August. And then, yeah, I think by then I hopefully have a bit of a clearer picture of what I want to do. It's very funny for me because I always have been this person that really knows what she wants and what her next step is. And now I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to enjoy the process of that as well. I think sometimes it's good to just let life unfold and see which direction it takes you. But I do also feel like it's really good to listen to what your intuition is telling you, right? I think I've gotten better at listening to my intuition, because the time it took me to quit my corporate job was 2 years, and I should have quit 2 years before because I was so miserable. And now I do feel like, okay, when my intuition, my body is telling me this is not the place for me right now, I act on it way faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cannot tell you a year from now, 2 years from now, where I'll be. I do feel like I want to settle down a bit more, have a proper home base. That's the one theme that keeps coming up for me, find my home base. But yeah, if it will be Bali long time, I'm not sure. Maybe Sydney, definitely not the Netherlands. Yeah, but yeah, I cannot give you a clear answer on that. That's kind of the process I'm in right now.
Yeah, and as you said, that's an exciting process to be in. It can be scary as well to really feel like this unknown. And I think that's also a duality in itself. On one hand, you're like, oh, wow, this is so exciting because everything is possible. But on the other hand, it's also like, oh, it's scary because everything is possible.
Well, and we humans, we are programmed to like want to be in control, right? We want to know what the next step is so that we can calculate our next move, like fight or flight, survival mode, all that stuff. So we want to know where we're going. But I feel like these last 2 years have taught me to be comfortable in the unknowing, because, you know, life always works. Everything always works out. I truly believe that. Like in these past 2 years, I made crazy risky decisions and everything always turned out okay. So I do feel like I will end up where I will need to end up. Yeah, of course I would want to know, but we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen. It has for the last 2 years, and I feel like I had to go through my shitty period in corporate life to be able to appreciate this life so much more, and to be able to have had the drive to build this business, because it was not easy at all. So yeah, I do feel like everything always happened for a reason. So yeah, we'll see where life will take me, I guess. Yeah.
It's exciting, and I think that's also the beauty of it, right? But you also said that you feel like your intuition really got stronger in the past 2 years with like traveling and being in a new environment, and those are sort of like the skills you don't expect to get when you go on this journey, but they sort of come with it in a way.
Yeah, I think you really learn to reconnect with yourself, because I think the whole reason why it took me 2 years to quit my corporate job was because everyone kept telling me that it was a bad decision, that it was a risky decision, that I should not do it. That's why I stayed. But if I would have listened to myself and what I really wanted and like canceled out the noise, of course I would have quit way sooner. But like when you're in your home environment and everyone has expectations from you, society has expectations from you, everyone keeps telling you it's a bad decision, because of course they will tell you, because they would never take a step like that. Maybe they are even happy in their jobs, you know, then I'm of course not going to tell you to quit yours, because I cannot really understand how you're feeling and where you're coming from. We always give feedback from our perspective, right? So yeah, when you strip all that away, literally, because when you get on a plane by yourself and it's just you, like no one tells you what to do because you don't know anyone, and anyone that you meets you for the first time, then you really get the chance to like reconnect with what you want and make decisions solely based on what your intuition is telling you, which makes it easier to listen to these things, I think. And then you are not stuck in situations longer than you need to be. But it's hard when you're still in your home bubble, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I can relate to
Yeah.
it. I also come from the corporate bubble and
Yeah.
found my way out. And not to say that corporate is always negative, of course, as you said, like there are, of course, people who love to work in an environment like that. But when you feel like it's not for you anymore, to actually take that step to get out and to figure out, okay, but then if this is not it, what do I want with my
Yeah.
life? And where do I want to live my life? Those are really big questions. And
Yeah.
it can be very hard to figure that out if you're not surrounded by people who support you with that, who want you to stay the same, basically, who feel like,
Yeah.
you have a good job, you have a house, what are you
Yeah,
complaining
exactly.
about?
Yeah.
Right? Like your life is perfect. Well, maybe it looks perfect from the outside, but if you from the inside feel like, no, this is not for me, as you said, I'm feeling depressed and I have to make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a tough decision to take that step. But then now you know what's on the other side, and then looking back, right, you can reflect on it and feel like, oh wow, I'm so glad that I took this leap, and look at
100%.
where I'm now, right? Like now you're literally here in Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think, yeah, I'm grateful for how stubborn I am. Because, yeah, well, if you tell me to not do something, I will fucking do it. And I think that's the one thing, what you just said something, and that like struck something in me. Like, especially where I was at in the Netherlands, like, you either walk the path that's like set out for you, the normal life, and if you divert from that path, I genuinely do feel like people don't want you to succeed. Whereas what I experienced in Bali is like everyone is like, oh my God, that's so great for you. They help you without you even asking. They bounce ideas of you. They give you direction. They talk to you about steps you can take. When I left, no one was rooting for me. And then the point where I got successful and I was making a lot of money and people started seeing that, of course, then all of a sudden everyone wanted to know how I did it. And I was like, it's so weird that you have to become successful for people to support you and know how you're doing, versus when you're just taking a stab that's not normal. Everyone's not rooting for you at all. They're like, oh, whatever, this girl's just going through a period. She needs to find herself. She will be back soon. I think that's quite sad that that's the way society works these days. Bali just like was a game changer for me in that sense, because everyone believed in me and that helped me make steps. Because then you get excited what you're working towards. Whereas when you're in an environment where everyone constantly tells you it's not going to work, of course you're going to believe it's not going to work. And then when you're in an environment where everyone's like, that's a great idea, you should do it, you're going to take the steps, right? Like, I'm getting goosebumps saying that.
Yeah.
But I think that's such like a big thing, and that's the one thing I'm really sad about, like how society works. You only matter when you're successful. That's just stupid.
Yeah, definitely. And you should just matter anyway, right? Like as a person, and not because of the success that people see on the outside. Yeah, and I loved what you shared about, if you feel like you're in that bubble, find people to support you. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I started doing what I do, and also to have this podcast, to bring on these stories, to show what's possible, right? Because it can feel very lonely if you feel like, well, nobody is supporting me, so where do I even start, or what is even possible? And I feel like these type of conversations do show what's possible, and it doesn't mean that you have to, do the exact same path and also move to Bali. Like, the world is an oyster. There's so many options, but just to have you thinking outside of the box and feel like, oh, okay, there are different ways to live my life. I don't have to follow what everyone else is doing if that doesn't feel right for me. And I think when I started my journey as well, I wish I had those type of conversations. So,
100%, because it like accelerates your growth. And I also feel like if you don't know yet what you want to do, just start doing random things. Like, I started out as an employer branding strategist because that was what I did in my corporate life. So it's like, I'm just going to do that for myself.
Yeah.
Didn't work out because I was not truly passionate about it. Then one day I pick up a camera in the Philippines and I start taking photos, and everyone was like, whoa, you're really good. And I didn't even like do a course or anything, right? And I always, like, throughout my entire life, loved photography, but never even in a million years thought I could make money with it, because everyone said when you're a photographer, like, you're never gonna make money. And I only started doing it because on that one random day I picked up my camera and someone told me, you're fucking great.
Yeah.
And then I just started doing more often, and then ripple effect. It got better and better. Everyone started referring to me like, oh, if you need brand photos, you should go to Jessy. Now I'm gonna do all these shoots in Europe. I've done shoots here. I've done shoots all over the world. And that's like in a 2-year time path, right? Like,
Yeah.
insane. Like, if you find that one thing you're really good at and you're passionate about and you really believe in yourself, and it only takes one person to tell you like how good
Yeah.
you are, and you're like, oh, maybe this is something that I could do, then within 2 years you could like do so many great things.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
sometimes underestimate what we can do in a short amount of time,
Yeah.
especially when we have big dreams and it's like, it feels like, oh my God, this is such a big vision. It's impossible, or it's going to take me 10 years.
Yeah.
But as you said, if you start with a small step, like picking up your camera and then realizing, whoa, I love to do this, and go from there and keep taking steps and steps and steps, you can see how much your life can change in 2 years. And I loved what you shared about just trying random things, because those are not random eventually, right?
No,
If
no.
you feel like passionate about something or curious about something, like follow that curiosity. And whether it's picking up a camera or, picking up a brush to paint something,
Yeah.
or whatever it might be, right? Or just have a conversation with someone that maybe sparks something within you, and that leads you to another step on your path. It's like those little breadcrumbs I see,
Yeah.
or like dots you connect later on, that you realize, oh wow, this brought me to this step, and then I went there, and then I took this step, and before you know it, you actually are creating a life that you really feel excited about.
Yeah.
And things in that sense can shift very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and
100%.
it's definitely like your environment really supports you if you are in the right environment.
Yeah.
I also feel that now that I've been back in Sydney for, it's been almost 4 months now,
Yeah.
how much I've changed in such a short amount of time in a positive way, that I feel more expanded as well, that I feel like I'm doing much more, I feel more excited, more energized compared to before when I was still in the Netherlands. If you find a place that in a way lights you up,
yeah, that awakens that in you, right? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes it might also be a journey in itself to find that place, as you said as well. Like maybe it can be Sydney for you as well. Maybe it will be another place eventually that you feel like, oh, I want to travel more, or you do a shoot somewhere in a place you've never been, and you're there doing the shoot and you're like, oh my God, I really love this place. Who knows, right?
I love this. Like, I sometimes struggle with change, but I love this quote my friend told me the other week. It was like, the one thing that is inevitable in life is that change is constant. Things are always changing, and you need to find joy in the change.
I think that's actually a beautiful quote to wrap this up. Like, the only constant thing is change, right? Is there any, final insight or something you would like to share with the listeners before we wrap up? And
we are all on this earth to live our most beautiful life. I truly believe that, and I truly believe that everything is possible for everyone. So yeah, don't listen to the noise, believe in yourself, make decision that's the best for you. And yeah, if you want to follow me, best platform would be my Instagram at you.branded.
I will share it in the show notes as well.
Yeah. I always post what I'm up to, where I'm going. So if you are very curious where I'll end up, you can find out there. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I also really love this conversation. And yeah, as you said, sometimes you don't realize how far you've come until you take a moment to reflect on it. So yeah, I just loved what we spoke about today. I hope that for you as a listener, this also sparks something inside of you. If you are thinking about making a change, or if you feel like, oh, I'm also ready for the next step in my life, even though I don't know yet what it's going to be, I think we shared some great little nuggets for you to, reflect on, and you can always listen to this episode again and see like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm going to start with a small step. Maybe I'm going to start with this random activity and see where it might end up. Or maybe I'm going to travel somewhere and see if this could be a new place for me to start. So yeah, I would love to know what you thought of this episode. If you have any insights or anything you would like to share, feel free to leave a review or a comment below this episode as well, or reach out to me directly or to Jessy if you have any questions about her work or where she's going next. And thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to follow and subscribe so you stay up to date on future episodes. And I will see you in the next one.